Three, two, one, let's go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this special episode of the George Habib channel. And why is today special? You might or might not be asking. It's because if you've noticed down below, uh, here, we have reached over 100 subscribers on this channel. Approximately 106 by my last count, might have changed. And I wanted to thank all of you guys, all my subscribers, for supporting me and helping the channel reach this size. I know 106 might not seem a lot, but to be honest, it's a pretty big stage in my journey. And to me right now, it just gives me a lot of motivation and it makes me happy to have begun this and to share my thoughts with all of you. So as you guys know, this episode is going to be a Q&A video where I will be answering the questions you guys have given me, whether on YouTube, on Instagram, or in real life. And before I get to that, I would like to say that after reaching this amount of this number of subscribers and doing this for approximately a month, I am going to do some changes on the channel. I'm going to be changing the channel name to either the George Habib podcast or something else, and I'll be simplifying a lot of the segment titles that we're doing. This is because I want to streamline what we do on the channel, and I want to make it more accessible to others because I do feel that the Third Culture Rant segment and the Been There segment kind of overlap in many ways. So I'm just going to combine those two. And so basically, yeah, there'll be changes like that. And I will be trying to focus on some new editing software to see what I can add to improve the quality and engagement of the videos. Having said that, and before I go on to the Q&A, to the people who are just stumbling upon this video or my other videos, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel because doing so really helps us with the YouTube algorithm and lets us reach more people on their feeds. And yeah, like, subscribe, and now we will go on to the Q&A. So what I'm going to do, guys, is read off the questions off the screen right here. It's right next to me. And there's no particular order to these questions. I'm not going to mention anyone's names because, I haven't asked if you guys wanted to do that. So I'll read them one by one. If there's a repeat question, I'll just point it out, and that's about it. So yeah, as usual, got my side screen, got my main screen, got you guys, and my cup of coffee. So let us start. And the first question is, how does it feel reaching 100 subscribers? It feels great. I'm not gonna lie, it feels great. We're a bit above that right now, and I know it's not a lot. You got channels with thousands, you got channels with millions, not billions yet, but might get there. And even though I've only got around 100, I didn't expect I would get this number this quick. I thought by now I'd still be in like 20, 30 subscribers, maybe even reach 50, but not going past that and reaching 100. So thank you guys. It's not the final stage of my journey, but it's showing that the path is pretty clear, and I can't wait to get to the next milestone, which is like 250. And question number 2, why did I start this podcast? So there's 2 reasons, guys, I started this podcast. Number 1 is, I gotta be honest with you, purely for selfish or my own reasons. I've always been a guy who's had a lot to say. I've always been a guy who likes hearing other people's viewpoints, whether or not they agree or disagree with me. And I've always wanted to be a guy that just had conversations, that had discussions, that could share his opinions, his viewpoints, his feelings, to sound a bit cheesy, but mostly what I already mentioned. So from purely and honestly selfish point of view, that's why I like talking, I like listening, and I like knowledge. I like new perspectives. Now, from the second reason, which I hope is, a lot less selfish and egotistical, is I wanted to start this podcast or channel because I wanted to build a community as well. And that's a community where everyone comes together, everyone shares their stories, whether as a guest on the channel or in the comments or through personal messages and reach outs and things like this. And those would be stories for other people to listen to. Like I said, I want to talk about the personal stories that set an example for others struggling. I want to talk about, lessons learned so that other people can learn the same lessons, perhaps with not as much of the consequences that accompanied those lessons. And, I just want to share these things so the guests can feel like they let go and it's no longer in their mind and they have that thing out there, which with some of the guests we've had so far in our previous episodes, they have told me that. They have told me like this was like an unburdening of what was on their mind. This was something that was no longer secret, something that no longer stresses them out. So yeah, for me, this is a way for me to get out there and learn more and speak more. And I hope it's something that benefits others. And that's why I started the podcast. So, number 3, what motivates you to work hard? That for me, that's a tough question because I can't find one answer. Like I said already in the previous question, what motivates me is my purely selfish reasons, which is I want to learn more, talk more, and listen more. And then it's like, I do want to help others. But I guess to give a different question, answer to this question, what motivates me to work hard is you guys. That's cheesy as hell. It's such a political answer, but it's true. Because as I'm going to release in a short on my Instagram soon, I don't feel motivated every day. I don't feel optimistic, energized, powerful, like I'm going to kill it. I'm going to do great on this channel every day. No, I have days where I feel great. I'm not going to lie. But then there's other days where that negativity creeps in, that self doubt creeps in. And, guys, if you've ever had that, which I'm sure some of you have, it can really be a mood killer and can really like just drain your motivation. So again, what motivates me is you guys. Like when I'm feeling down, I look and I see the views are going up on these videos. People are interested in these videos. People are clicking on these videos. And then the likes go up. So people like these videos. And then ultimately, like, even just saying like one person subscribe to my video encourages me to keep doing this because that's a person who's not one of my relatives or one of my supportive friends, a total stranger who stumbled upon my channel and they decided it was worth something to them. It was meaningful to them and they subscribed. So yeah, that stuff motivates me. Next question. What are 3 things you would like to accomplish before 35? Oof. Where do I start? So, as some of you may know, I'm currently 27. I don't think I have my shit together at all. I'm a lot better than before, but definitely not what people would call a stable, functioning human being. So the 3 things I'd like to accomplish before 35 they're not really material or crazy things like I want to be a billionaire. I want to go into space. I want to be a wizard in Harry Potter. It's nothing like that. It's the number one thing, I want to be able to achieve stability. What that means is whether through this podcast or a career on the side, I want to be able to earn enough so that I'm not worried about rent. I'm not worried about gas, food, medicine. I want to be able to work to earn enough so that I'm no longer worried about being a financial burden to my family. So by 35, like, I want to be a fully functioning human being. It's not so crazy, but that's the truth, guys. That's what I want for myself. That's what I want to achieve. The second thing I want to achieve before 35 is very cheesy. I want to start a family. I'm a full believer in having kids while you're young, so you can have a lot more time with them. And because my parents are still here, thank God, so they could have more time being grandparents. Hopefully by 30, I'll meet not the love of my life, because I don't really believe in that, but I'll meet like this person I'll love and who loves me, and we're both so stable. We can have a family early on, uh, have a relationship, marriage early on, and then have kids early on. So by 35, guys, stable job and hopefully a happy family. Now, the third thing I would like to accomplish before 35, I want to be doing this podcast full time. I want to be sharing my opinions, my views. I want to be discussing with other people. I want to invite guests from so many areas in life, everyday people, celebrities, influencers, politicians, doctors, pilots, philanthropists, people who are struggling, people who have struggled, people have overcome all that, because I do want this to be a full-time thing. I do want a successful podcast. I do want a successful YouTube channel. I do want this to be a growing community. So by 35, I hope to be in a place where this is big enough to sustain my living, and this is big enough to just be useful to other people, to grow into many different areas and reach more people, countries, classes. I don't know. So yeah, as of now, those are three things I wish to have accomplished before 35. And even though I'm 27 and some people say, oh, there's still a long way to go, I feel it, man. I feel it. Some of you guys, I know you guys feel it too. So I'd rather sacrifice the craziness of my 20s for stability in my 30s, and then, still have that craziness later. Number 6. How big is your schlong? I'm not going to mention who asked this, Resmig. I'm not going to say who displayed the immaturity to ask this question, Resmig. And I will never reveal the troll behind this trolling question, Resmig. How big is my schlong? It's big enough, and let's leave this at that. Next question. Why don't I go into other mediums and platforms? Like, I guess this means, why don't I go into TikTok? Why don't I go on, I guess, Facebook, because I don't have a Facebook account set up yet. Why don't I go on Spotify? And what else is there? Snapchat? I guess Pinterest? Stuff like that. Basically, why don't I go on all these channels? And the thing is, guys, aside from TikTok, because I already have some issues with that app, it's not that I'm not going into these other things. It's that I kind of have a plan where, as the followers increase, as the engagement increases, as the subscribers increase, I do things step by step. I know many stories where people bit off more than they can chew, where they did all these things at once, and it was already crazy to just try to divide their time into all these things. I think it pulled attention away from the primary thing, which is either like their YouTube, their Instagram, or Spotify, like the thing they want to focus on. And it led to a lot of burnt out on these people I know, and it was demotivating. Me, on the other hand, I want to focus right now primarily on Instagram and YouTube. I already have a Quora account. If you guys know what Quora is, it's where you answer other people's questions. And when I reach, and I have like a plan, when I reach 250, I want to open a Twitter account because ever since Musk bought it, I feel it became a less toxic place. And it's an easy place to reach out to other people who have their own followings, their own experiences, their own niches, and to hopefully have them on as guests. So 250 Twitter, 500, that's when I want to do Spotify. That's where I feel like I'll be able to learn enough my craft on YouTube and then be able to have that translate onto Spotify. And then when I reach 1,000, I guess, I'll go into other stuff like Patreon to fund this channel, the production costs and things like this. I would consider other channels like Rumble, which is like YouTube, but not really like YouTube. It has their own audience. And along the way, I will open a Facebook account, but I feel it's too much work this early on. And yeah, that's the plan. I don't want to think past 1,000. Like I got my sights set on 1,000. Obviously, I want to reach 1,000,000 in due time. But I feel, guys, like visualize the next step and don't fantasize about the end goal. Do things on a step-to-step basis so you don't burn out. And that's based, again, to answer the question, that's why I don't go into other mediums and platforms yet. It's on its way. Any plans on improving video quality? Yes. The quality right now is, I like it. Other people say it's okay. It's good enough for now. I got I'm using like a Logitech camera. I got my Sudatak 800 microphone. And for now, with the resources I have and the time I can spend on this, it's enough. As I get bigger, as this channel grows, I will be investing in a better camera. I will be investing in a better microphone, better setup, better lighting, things like this. But that will come when it comes. I want to grow, be better at this, and then invest in this channel for better viewing experience, I guess. If I could master a skill, what would it be? Ugh. Many skills I want to master. But I guess the skill would be discipline. And what I mean by that is I want to be able to be strong enough to give myself discipline, to implement a routine, into doing the podcast, into exercising, into doing other things in my life. Because as it stands right now, I feel like I'm not efficient in my time. I feel like I play video games a bit too much, not as much as before, a lot better than before, but a little bit too much. I feel I wake up too late. I feel I just, lie down and scroll Instagram stories, funny videos too long. And while I have been better at my exercising and stuff like that, again, it's not consistent. I want there to be a better schedule. So if I could master a skill, it would have to be discipline, which I do believe is a valuable skill for me and potentially for a bunch of you guys. What would I change about myself if I could? The thing is, guys, I look, if this was like 3 years ago, there's a lot I would like to change in myself. But the thing is, aside from like some medical issues I got, nothing major. What I'd like to change about myself is, I don't know, better sleep patterns. It's nothing major because kind of the stuff I'm already working on, the exercising, the podcast, my personal, my people skills, my social life, I'm kind of already working on that. If I could have it, if I could have it like happen in a snap, sure. But aside from better sleeping patterns, I don't know if you guys don't know the constant eye bags. There's not much I want to change about myself. What values are important to you and why? Honesty. I believe one of the most important values, or if not the most important value there is honesty. And that's like just basically when people ask you, don't lie, you can choose to withhold information. You can choose to say, I don't want to comment on that, but don't lie. It just digs you into a deeper hole. And if you have something on your mind that needs to be said, say it. Maybe you can say it more straightforward, like don't try to like half truth things. Maybe don't say it so bluntly, don't say it so brutally, don't say it so mockingly. But if there is something on your mind that you need to tell someone, like maybe a friend needs to hear this or family members need to hear this, just say it honestly. Because I feel we live in a very dishonest world these days. And that's not just like people are lying to each other. I feel like people are lying to themselves. They're probably enabling themselves in terms of like personal shortcomings. They're probably telling themselves, oh, this is not a problem. I can push it back. They're they're too hard critical on themselves or they're too soft on themselves. I feel in general, people need to be more honest and value honesty and not just in others. This isn't just like, oh, I would love others never to lie to me. No, people should never lie. People should never lie themselves. I understand there are situations where we have to lie, where maybe the truth can put us in danger, or maybe just like, the truth is just, it's not the right time for the truth, but never lie. Aside from like those few critical moments where you have to exercise your judgment, just don't lie. The world is built on lies. Politicians lie to us every day. Our our loved ones lie to us not to hurt our feelings or not to admit their feelings. Companies lie to us all the time, like, oh, this is vegan, oh, this is sugar free. It's like, no, that's bullshit. Just don't lie, guys. Truth is what I value the most. It's something I'm trying to get better at, even though I'm not perfect at it. And it's something I believe we should all include in our lives. Here's a very light question. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. Religion, God, and thoughts on the afterlife? Question mark. Oof, very light-hearted question. So basically, just to tell you guys about myself, my background is Greek Orthodox Christian. That's the religion I was born into and grew up with. So I guess that's what I identify with. But in terms of what I believe, I can tell you guys what I'm not, but I can't tell you guys what I am. I'm certainly not an atheist. I'm certainly not a true believer. I'm not like a dedicated, diehard believer. And I guess I do want to expand on this. I guess my religion is I don't know. I don't know at this point in my life. I don't know what to believe in. I don't know what happens when we die. I don't think any people know, unless like there's someone with a pretty good idea or something, but that's a whole different discussion. I don't know if we're still here, like we go into an afterlife, like many religious people believe. I don't know if some of us go into heaven or into hell, like some religions believe. I don't know if we, poof, disappear or nothing happens, like many atheists believe. And I don't know if I'll be reincarnated into something like some Buddhists. And I believe, although I'm not too sure about this, some Buddhists or Hindus believe. I don't know. I have no platform to judge other I have no foundation to stand on with which to judge other religions. I have no foundations with which to judge atheists. I certainly don't think life is as simple as we came out of nothing and then we go into nothing. I don't find that mode of thought to be a strong one. But yeah, like if you ask me, I don't know. I don't have the answers, and I want to be honest about that. Uh, that was light. Moving on to the next question. Thoughts on drinking, smoking, and recreational drugs. So basically, my mentality is let people do whatever they want, so long as they're not harming others, so long as they're not taking others down with them, so long as they're not influencing others to do the same negative behaviors. And I guess moderation, drinking can be fun to those of us who drink. And I'm mainly talking from my experiences in Canada and North America. Drinking can be fun. It can be a social recreational thing, but it can also be something that ruins families and ruins a person's life. Smoking, and I'm assuming this is just cigarettes. I don't find any value in smoking. Smoking is not fun. Don't fool yourself, smokers. This is my strong opinion. Smoking is not fun. We don't go, it's not a social thing. Worst case, it's a peer pressure thing, especially in like Europe. People smoke initially, I feel, because it's cool, and then they smoke to cope. It's the same thing as trying to relax. Here, have a cig, relax. I think it's a terrible coping mechanism. I think it's one of the worst inventions in human history. I think people who do it have every right to do it, but it's a dumb thing to do. I'm not going to go easy on smoking. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I have smoked in my teenage years, but mostly out of a sense of, oh, this is cool. Oh, I'll look cooler and peer pressure and whatever. Recreational drugs. My opinion is basically, aside from like marijuana and mushrooms and these other things, which personally is not for me, but I've seen a lot of other people do, like these kind of drugs, it makes people, I don't want to say lazy, but easygoing. Like the people who engage in this stuff, it doesn't appear to be damaging their health, and it makes them chiller. And it's their choice in Canada, at least, and North America, and where it's legal, it's their choice. Don't encourage other people to do it. If people are curious, let them try when they're consenting adults. But I I don't have too strong of an opinion on it. Maybe I'll do a discussion with someone else. Here in the Middle East, where it's illegal, don't do it. It's illegal. It's not worth like damaging your life from any point of view. Like that's not a hill to die on. And then like the hard stuff, if we're talking about heroin, cocaine, meth, uh, that crazy stuff called crocodile in Siberia, why touch that? Why? Like, I know people come from damaged families. I know people were pushed into the hard stuff, maybe by others in their lives. I know people do these things to forget that their lives suck in their mind, but it's not worth it. These things have terrible health consequences. They have terrible mental consequences in countries like North America, where no one's really in absolute poverty. The majority of poor people, in my opinion, seem to be people who are addicts. They got hooked up to drugs. Now their whole life is just getting a score. It's just, popping pills, injecting, smoking up, whiffing, however you use drugs. And on the streets of Canada and some places in Europe, and when I visited America, I've just seen these really sad people who have had all the potential, and it breaks my heart because they're not happy. They're doing what they want, but an addict can never tell me they're happy because I will never believe them. So overall, with drugs, smoking, drinking, some of the stuff do in moderation, have fun as a legal consenting adult. But then some of the stuff is just not worth it. I don't think cigarettes are worth it. I don't think the hard drugs are worth it. So why do it? Okay. So now into, I guess this is my views on relationships. How do you recover or get out of toxic relationships? So these are two different questions. I guess the first is like recovering toxic relationships, basically how to save your relationship. How to recover in a toxic relationship or how to recover the relationship, not so clear. Guys, in my opinion, when a relationship is very toxic, usually you should just leave. Because for a relationship to be toxic, and I'm not saying you guys aren't meant for each other, I'm just saying one or both of you are just not ready to have a relationship because you have unresolved issues on your own, like as individuals that are just leaking out on a relationship. I don't think a relationship itself truly makes people bad, truly ruins lives. I think people are, no offense, crap before they enter the relationship, insecure before they enter the relationship, devious, bad intentioned, weak, unresolved issues before they enter a relationship, and then they corrupt the relationship. The relationship doesn't corrupt people. The people in that relationship are already corrupted, or they corrupt each other, or they negatively affect each other. So aside from a professional like couples counseling, therapy, if a relationship is toxic, just get out, end it, rip the band-aid off and end it. You are wasting your time. You are exposing yourself to damage. And if you are the bad person, if you are the problematic person in that relationship, you're wasting the other person's time. You're exposing them to harm, mental, physical, whatever. You're damaging them and you're impacting their life. And if both of you are toxic, both of you guys need to go to therapy, not as a couple. Both of you need to leave. Both of you guys need to focus on yourselves and better yourselves. And then when you're better as an individual, then do whatever you want. Not necessarily get back with each other, but pursue meaningful, healthy relationships with meaningful and healthy people. And I guess that leads to the second part of that question. How'd you get out of the toxic relationship? I'm not going to comment on ones where there's like physical abuse, where a husband or wife is literally like locking in their partner, like manipulating them, imprisoning them, abusing them. I can't talk on that. I'm not a professional. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a law enforcement officer. I can't give my true opinions when it reaches that level, except to like get help. Get help. No matter what, get help. To get out of a toxic relationship that hasn't reached that level, break up. Talk to that person and say, this is not working out. I want to break up. Let me grab my things. Let us move on with our lives. Don't extend it. Don't waste your time. Leave. Break up. Because even that person, the toxic person or the other person, by staying with you, they're not really going to have a wake-up call where they realize they need to improve themselves. So get out of that. Next, what are the measures of success? I'm going to keep this short. The measure of success is happiness. People can have all the money in the world. People can have if you're a guy, all the women in the world. If you're a girl, I guess all the fucking built buff dudes named Fabio from Italy, I guess, in the world. They can have all the crypto in the world. They can have all the gold, all the candy, all the whatever they want, not they need, whatever they want in the world. If they're not happy after getting all of that, if you're Jeff Bezos and you're not happy, if you're not Oprah and you're not happy, no, wait, sorry. If you are Jeff Bezos and you're not happy, if you are Oprah and you're not happy, you're not successful, in my opinion. You need to reach a point where you're happy and you stay there. And yeah, I guess this correlates with level of wealth. I guess this correlates with a healthy love life. I guess this correlates with having a bunch of teddy bears or something, video games. The correlation is not causation. If you strive for all these things and you're not happy at the end of it, what's the point? For me, you're happy when you are truly happy and it's a sustainable happiness that goes on. You're successful. You made it. You don't need anything else. You've made it. And comfort is not happiness. I'm going to just point that out. When you're truly happy, you know you're happy. Do you think you can heal yourself from traumatic experiences? Yes. Yes. Not to get too into it. I've gone through some, at least in my opinion, they were some traumatic experiences. I've gone through some big difficulties in life. I've seen others who've gone through the same. And looking at myself and looking at them now, I'm not going to say they're completely fine. I'm not going to say I'm completely fine. I'm going to say that they're a whole lot better than they were before. I'm a whole lot better than I was before. I feel like we are pretty functional at this point. And when I was going through this traumatic experience, which it was like kind of a long thing, I never thought I'd be normal again. I never thought I'd be stable again. I never thought I'd be, I'm not going to say I'm happy, but I never thought I'd be able to reach happiness again. The thing is, though, when you have a traumatic experience, you have to realize you you have to leave your old self behind. You have to mourn and let go of your old self. Because for an experience to be traumatic, I'm not a professional, but for an experience to be traumatic, it means it has changed you. It means you will never be the same again. It doesn't mean you'll never be happy again. It doesn't mean you will never be normal again. It just means you're a different person. So to recover from a traumatic experience, you have to let your old self behind. You have to focus on the potential of who you are now and professional help. There's no stigma with therapy. There's no stigma with seeking counseling. These guys, there's some bad ones, there could be. These guys are some of the most useful people to humanity, and professional help will help you come back or look past traumatic experiences. I think that's a good question to build a video on. How can you begin to love yourself? That's a big one. How can I begin to love myself? I guess my answer is acknowledge your shortcomings, admit your faults, identify what you don't like with yourself, be honest to yourself, be honest to who you are, and work on yourself. Because if you get rid of what you don't like, what's left is what you like. And then I think then you'll like truly love yourself. And this is something Jordan Peterson says in his book, which I'll always encourage people reading. You have to see yourself as a person you want to help. So if I'm George, I have to see myself as I love George and I want to take care of George. And I'm pretty sure that will help with that. Question 18, though I'm not really counting at this point. What is my opinion on peer pressure? Guys, peer pressure will always be there. There will always be that need to not need the influence to conform. People in groups, like there'll always be group mentality, herd mentality, and it's like, look, in some cases, peer pressure can be an okay thing. If there's peer pressure not to do drugs, not to be an asshole, not to hurt yourself, not to steal, not to harm others, that's good peer pressure. Like, what do you want me to say? That those are good, like goodness aligned with the peer pressure. But there are times in cases of bullying, in cases of scams, in cases like cults, in cases of just conformity where people want you to conform. And in my experiences, it's never the group that wants you to conform. It's never the group that's giving peer pressure. It's people who assume the leadership hierarchy, like the few controlling the many and trying to squish you down. When it comes to places like that, times like that, and use your judgment, Don't listen to peer pressure. Don't conform. Be yourself. Well, be your good, be like the best self you can be. And don't be afraid that there's going to be rumors about you. Don't be afraid that people will look down on you. Don't be afraid that you'll be isolated from society. Guys, first of all, that's mostly in our minds. I feel like most people don't give a damn. And second of all, if you don't conform to things that are stupid, you will find people who think like you, and eventually you'll make your own group and you'll live a happier life for it. So that's my view on peer pressure. It will always be there. Sometimes it's like a non-problem, it's not a big deal, but when it's a big deal, swim against the tide, be yourself, and be a leader or be strong. Next one. Where do I draw the line between work and friendship relationships? I don't know what that, like, you can be friends with your coworkers, in my opinion. There's no big deal with that. If anything, I think that makes the work environment a better place. Don't get too close, because eventually that person, or you might get fired. There might be a work competition, stuff like that. But it's totally fine to be a friend and a coworker. Where I draw the line is, if you value your job, if you need the money, don't compromise yourself. Don't compromise your financial standing by hooking up with a coworker. Don't try to get with a coworker if you truly value that. Look, if you're working at like part-time for a little pocket change, and like a beautiful woman or a really handsome dude wants you, and like that's like your fellow cashier or something, sure, have fun, like go nuts. But like, if that's a serious career, if that is supporting your living, if people depend on you, if you need the money, if it's a big opportunity for advancement, don't fuck up your job over some horniness. Be friends. That's it. Move on. More relationship stuff. When do you think a person should break up? When I think a person should break up, and aside from like abuse, manipulation, someone completely lied about who they are when you got with them in a relationship, aside from that stuff, where you should definitely break up, like boom, break up. If your relationship is not adding, not replacing, if your relationship is not adding to the happiness that you already have, and there's no intention on the other person or from yourself, or it's not looking like that stuff will improve, break up. When we get in a relationship, it's because we want to have people add to the happiness we already have. We should be already happy when we enter in a relationship. We should be already capable of having our own happiness when we enter in a relationship. But the point of a relationship to me is to add happiness, to add amazing experiences, and eventually start a family. If you are in a relationship and you're not happy, and the other person is not, and you, it's not just the other person. If you guys aren't working to happiness, or if you're working on it, it's just not working, don't waste each other's time. Don't waste each other's times. Break up, have a mutual beneficial breakup. You can still be friends, you can still hook up, break up, and then just live your life and look for a genuinely happy and positive relationship. That's when I think a person should break up, when they're just not happy. And 22, a very serious question. George, how did you get that beautiful beard? And what's kind of funny is I just got a haircut today, so I don't exactly have a beautiful beard. So I'm sorry, person who asked this question. I've let you down. But I guess shave with a trimmer, not a razor. Razors can give you pimples. Use conditioner, stick your face in the sun a bit. And that's what helped me. Don't pick on your beard. I know a lot of people who pick on it. You're going to give yourself bald patches and you're going to miss up this, whatever. There's not much of this now, but I guess like in the icon, there might be more in the future. What inspired me to start a podcast? So I guess it's similar to the other question where just like, why did I start a podcast? What motivates you to work hard? But what inspired me, I guess, and most podcasters will, new podcasters will have this. Joe Rogan. He's not my favorite, but he's up there on the podcasters I like. Like I like his shtick. If you guys know what that means, I like what he does. I saw him talk to people, listen to people. Joe Rogan's a very good listener. If you watch his podcast, he lets people talk, and I enjoyed the conversations. I enjoyed watching them. And then I saw other podcasters like the Chrissy Mayer podcast, the Lex Friedman podcast, Crystal Profit, small podcast, but I love her energy. I started watching these other podcasts, and like I liked what they had going. They had different styles, they had different things, but it was all basically the same. Interviewing other people, giving their opinions, and having this dialogue going, like learning and teaching and sharing and all that stuff. So that's what basically these people, this community of podcasters basically inspired me to start a podcast. And if we're not talking about people, what also inspired me to start a podcast is a fear of mediocrity. I have a fear that, and I know my parents, my loving family, my loving friends say, don't, that's not true. That's just self-doubt. You definitely have a lot of potential. I have a fear that my life will basically amount to nothing. And what I mean about that is I will have entered this world and left it without contributing to anything. And that scares me. And I don't want that to happen. So I hope this podcast will be something I can give to people, the videos, something that can improve whatever they're going through. So yeah, that's what inspires me. A very specific question. Do you plan on doing a vlog to show your life in Dubai? And fair question, but no. Vlogging and podcasting, especially like ones where you do like travel vlogs or showing the area you live in, these are very different areas. I will most likely do videos where I walk around Dubai and talk about life here, like, but these will be like one-off videos. There are already channels out there where people actually, like, the focus is the place they live in, the people they live with, the city they're in, the country they're in, the cultures they're experiencing. That's already there. That's its own niche, that's its own focus, and I'll leave it to those guys. For me, mostly this channel, this podcast is mostly about sharing experiences, seeing new people, hearing their stories, my opinion of things, and it's mostly like a daily life thing. It's not a destination thing. Again, what are my thoughts on the afterlife? I guess since this is asked twice, I'll add more on it. I don't know what happens. I don't know. There are stories where people have kind of died, and I say kind of because they're alive now. They've casually died. Let's say they couldn't commit to death. They couldn't commit to a relationship with death, so they like ditched and peaced out. But basically, they've been in accidents, or they've had really bad infections, or they've been heavily sedated and their heart stopped, and they saw something. Whether that's a hallucination, like some people say, or they actually experience the afterlife like other people say, I don't know. I don't want to give myself false hope that when we die, we don't disappear, like, non-believers think. I think if you guys are having questions on the afterlife, which I believe almost every person will go through like a crisis of faith in their young life, or maybe even later, research. And don't research to fool yourself. Like, don't give yourself false hope. And don't research to just listen to people who say, yeah, there's totally an afterlife. You're going to heaven. You're going to have crazy fun. No, research to form your own idea. research and see what you truly believe in or what you truly don't believe in. Like me, for example, I do follow religious philosophers, which, why can't I remember them? um I don't know why I can't remember some of them, but like follow many of them. I can't remember names. I followed Christian philosophers. I followed Hindu philosophers on YouTube, Muslim scholars, Buddhist monks sharing their views. I follow people who don't believe in religion, but they believe there is an afterlife. I've even followed people who don't believe there's an afterlife because they think we're going to be reincarnated or something, but they are religious. And I followed atheist philosophers because, guys, how do you know what you believe if you don't see all of it? I followed atheist philosophers like Daniel Bennett. I followed the late Christopher Hitchens, who was very interesting because he is an atheist philosopher who passed away a while back from cancer. God rest his soul, ironically. But he was, when I watch his videos, I find him to be very human. I don't believe his atheism. Like, I don't believe I'm not an atheist. I will never, that's something I definitely know. I'm not an atheist, but it's added to my perspective to see the viewpoints of these people. And oh yeah, I guess I remember one religious scholar who also passed away, Houston Smith. Very interesting guy. I recommend him. And you know what? I definitely do want to make a video on religion, having religious discussions, sharing my views, and talking about other philosophers. But yeah, overall, that's my point. I don't know what happens when we die. I don't think it's as simple as poof, we disappear. I don't think there's hell. I don't like believe in hell. And you know, I don't know. So because I don't know, I read. I read philosophers who are thousands of years old. I read the philosophers that exist today, and ultimately, I have my own viewpoint in the way, in the end. And guess what, guys? We all find out eventually. And on something that's completely unrelated, my thoughts on crypto. So I remember when crypto was coming out like 8 years ago. Was it 8 years ago? Like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago. I remember when it was coming out, like people would talk about it and I thought it was a joke. I did a paper on it. I thought crypto was a joke. Like early on, I believed it wasn't going to be what the people say it was going to be, which is like untraceable current, not untrackable current. Well, you can track it. Uncontrollable currency, governments can't control it, stuff like that. I believed it was a complete joke. And to an extent, I still believe crypto is a joke. It's something that both exists and doesn't exist. Like, I think the main value behind crypto is, sure, there's utility, but like it's useful now for some things, but I think people want crypto because they want crypto, not because they find it useful. They see other people buying crypto, the price goes up, and then they're like, oh, the price is going up, I gotta buy crypto. So when the price goes up, I sell it. So these people buy it, then sell it, and then those people have the same idea and buy it and sell it. And ultimately, I think most of crypto is purely driven by demand, not utility. Like, it's not, I don't want to say it's a pyramid scheme, but it's kind of like a pyramid scheme. But having said that, I do think I finally come to the light. I know you're happy, Rizmeek, you crypto fanatic. I finally come into the light, and I will admit there is a place for crypto. I will admit some crypto is in fact useful. I still think for the most part it's driven by demand, and I don't want to expand too much on this. I think governments everywhere, I think companies everywhere, whatever's not a government or company, I think they're trying to control our money. I think they're trying to control how we spend it. I think they're trying to control our access to it. I think there's a lot of currency manipulation going on. Like, for example, the current recession we're going through, the inflation we're going through, I think it's all intentional to just like devalue the money, because if you control the printing of money, you want to do whatever you want with the money, you want to control the money. And I do think that that's scary and will ruin our savings, ruin our investments. I don't think government is necessarily good. I think there are good governments, but I think government is a very corrupting player. And I think we need something that's not under control of government. And so far, that appears to be crypto. Some crypto is useless. Like, again, I'm repeating it, but some crypto, like Doge, it's not useful. Doge coins, it's not useful. It's there because people want it, because people want it, because people want it. But then other crypto like Harmony, like Ethereum, where the like buying and selling and spending the coins actually contributes to projects, and it actually powers platforms, powers software, I think is useful. And like, the government can't control it as much as other currencies. And I do think like not just like the coins themselves, and like, again, I've gone into the light. I do think like the blockchain system behind the crypto is ingenious. You can't manipulate something that's very transparent, or you can manipulate it, but it's going to be very difficult to manipulate. I do think crypto has its place. I'm not like obsessed with it like some people are, and I do think as time goes on, governments, companies, financial institutions will try to regulate it and control it. I also think this needs its own episode too. I'm going to highlight the questions where I talk a bit too much on, because I think it needs more. It needs an episode to itself. And because I'm not an expert at crypto, I will try to bring on an crypto expert or people enthusiastic about crypto. And I'm not going to do a whole, to the sadness of Resmig, I'm not going to do a whole episode on how big my schlong is. On to the next question. When are you opening a Spotify account? And this goes back into my other mediums question that I got early in the video. I want to open a Spotify account. I think it's an excellent platform. I think it's a huge platform. And, sometimes people don't want a video. They just want to listen to something in the car. They want to listen to something while they sleep. No, I'm not going to do ASMR. I think it's pretty creepy. And while they walk, because, YouTube is not too convenient. And I don't want people to waste money on YouTube Premium. I don't think it's great. So again, back to the question, when am I opening a Spotify account? Like I said, I want to open a Spotify account when I reach 500 subscribers, because by then I'll have kind of determined what people are interested in my channel / podcast. I will hopefully have mastered my craft and produce better content. And I'll dedicate more time to opening a Spotify account, because maybe some people would disagree with me. A Spotify account is not just so simple as just to like open up in a snap. You gotta edit your videos different. You gotta even record your videos different, because when I record on a video, it's like a visual thing. I'll do this, I'll do that. When I get better at my editing, I'll include like pictures, stuff like that. So it's completely different to do Spotify. It's a whole different area, and it's something where I need to learn a lot of things. And I am doing research into Spotify. So guys, when I reach 500 subscribers, I will open a dedicated Spotify. And don't worry, I've got like audio recordings of each video. So I will convert that to Spotify form. And I appreciate that you guys want me to be on other mediums. So to the person who asked me this question, I really appreciate it. And thank you. Again, another very specific question. How do I feel about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos owning Twitter and Bloomberg? So before I answer this question, to the person who asked this, Jeff Bezos doesn't own Bloomberg. That's still Michael Bloomberg, hence the name Bloomberg. He still owns that. Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, which is a newspaper slash news organization. He bought that. I'm not sure when, but he bought the Washington Post. And if you ever hear someone say WAPO, WAPO, so WAPO, they mean the Washington Post. It's an abbreviation. So what do I feel about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos? So first of all, I think Elon Musk is freaking amazing. He's he's an innovator. He made one amazing thing that's good for everybody. PayPal. I'm not going to say he made it. He contributed towards it. Then he didn't start Tesla. I believe he bought Tesla from other people. I could be wrong, but he made Tesla a massive things. Elon Musk made electric vehicles sexy again. Let's be honest. And now he's doing SpaceX. He's bringing us to Mars. Like screw the moon. He wants to go further. He wants to get us to Mars. I think Elon Musk is amazing. I affectionately call him Papa Musk, but he's amazing. And Jeff Bezos, look, he is amazing in what he achieved. I think Amazon is a useful thing, but I think Jeff Bezos made like one amazing thing once, which is Amazon. And then now the rest of his wealth is like, buying newspapers, manipulating stocks, influencing governments, manipulating the economy, destroying industries. Like he made something amazing once, and now he's. I don't want to judge the guy. I don't know him. Like no one really knows him, but like. Whereas Elon Musk is like this Tony Stark futurist, I feel like Jeff Bezos is like that mustache twirling rich dude who just wants to get more money. So that's what I think. Oh, wait, that doesn't answer the question. Apologize. So that's what I think about them personally. What I think about them owning Twitter and Washington Post, not Bloomberg, is, I mean, look, it's not great when individuals own like major things, like in this case, news outlets, where they can, just a clarification, Elon doesn't own Twitter yet. It's happening, but he doesn't own it yet. So back again, it's not a great thing when people own these major things, when one person controls the stuff, because they can start putting their agenda on. Like I know with Washington Post, there's like a clear bias in the news stories they report. They kind of crap on conservative and traditional things and then promote like left and what I call hippy dippy stuff. But like the thing is, then who's gonna own it? Like you want like I don't think the government nationalizing these news sources is great either. Like guys, I trust the government, and not all governments. Some governments are good, some are shit, most are corrupt, in my opinion. I don't trust governments owning things because governments have an agenda. Do you really, if you're Lebanese, do you really want politicians owning your news networks? And wherever you lie on politics in Europe or America, do you really want people who are politicians who don't really represent your viewpoints to own these things? I think billionaires and millionaires owning like Twitter, owning Washington Post, owning Bloomberg, owning CNN. I don't remember owning CNN, owning Fox News. I think Rupert Murdoch owns Fox News. And he's Australian, which is unrelated. I think it's unavoidable that people who achieve a level of wealth will own these things. It's not great. It's not good. In the case of Twitter, I think Elon's great. I don't think he's a great guy. I think his views are great, like free speech and all that. And he's a very innovative person. I think it's good he owns Twitter. I think it's crap that Jeff Bezos owns Washington Post because I don't think he's a great guy. I think he's just using it to manipulate people. But overall, I think it's unavoidable because the only alternative to rich people eventually buying these big outlets is government taking over. And guys, I trust government less than rich people because for the most part, government is owned by rich people. And when governments own newspapers or take over newspapers, when governments take over like media, There's a lot of censorship. They want to, they're not, government will never tell you that they're doing a bad job. Government will never say, like, oh, here's how we're embezzling money as politicians. Oh, remember the $1 billion we said we're going to allocate towards your healthcare? Oh, we gave it to another country. Oh, we're perpetuating a forever war. Oh, we're entering country. Bro. Government is not going to admit their shortcomings. I think it's better that these big things are privately owned, and just because they're privately owned doesn't mean they're like really monopolies. I believe that people should ultimately follow the news sources they truly believe in, not that fools them, not that gives them what they want to hear, but that they truly believe in. And support. If you don't like Twitter, if you don't like Washington Posts, support the little guy, support upcoming news media, support smaller channels, support smaller newspapers. And because with your support they will eventually become bigger, and then the cycle starts again. So to summarize what I think about that, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, it's not a bad thing. Rich people owning big thing news sources, it can be a bad thing. I think it's a worse thing when government owns them. Papa Musk, evil Bezos. Okay, we're running out of questions, but I'm happy with them, and thank you guys for giving them. Okay, second last question. Okay, so history of Lebanon and future expectations, question mark. As you guys know, I'm Lebanese. This is kind of relevant to me. And I'm assuming the person who asked me this is also Lebanese. So, okay, history of Lebanon, I'll leave that for the history channels. I'm not a historian, even though I do find the concept, the topic fascinating. Future expectations of Lebanon. That's a bit heavy. Lebanon is currently going through many things: economic crisis, religious tensions, corruption, economic collapse, which I think I already said, inflation, and elections. Look, with Lebanon, I'm very pessimistic. With the elections that are going on, I hope things will go well. I hope there's a decent amount of independent MPs that will enter parliament. And I also hope the best, a good party wins, because I don't agree with other many Lebanese where it's like all the parties suck. I'm like, no, I do believe that there are parties that are better than others. Having said that, I do hope a lot of independent MPs win. Where my skepticism comes in is that people are voting for independent MPs like the Thawra. And Lebanese people know what the Thawra means. It means revolution, but it's become this blanket term for independent parties. My skepticism with the Thawra is, first of all, the name means revolution. And a revolution is not made by following the election, following the rules of the corrupt government that push you into revolt. My issue with the Thawra, it's like, if the Thawra wanted to overturn everything, like an actual revolution, if they want to kick out all the shitty politicians through protests, through civil disobedience, through boycotts, like embargoes, like stuff like that, like the same methods as Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela. Yes, I support the Thawra 100%. Of course, overthrow, protest, demonstrations. Let's do Mandela, let's do Gandhi. But that's not the case. That's not what they're doing. They're following the same system that enabled the same corrupt politicians they're complaining about. They're competing against these corrupt politicians, and they don't have the resources because the Thawra is not corrupt. They They're not united, guys. The Thara is not a united force. They're not. They don't have one leader. They don't have one set of platform. One platform. Excuse me. One platform. They're not allied with each other in many areas. People who claim to be part of the Thara, the revolution, are competing against each other. Some of them are communists. Some of them are socialists. Some of them are hippies. Some of them are businessmen. Some of them are radical, some of them are just reformist, some of them advocate for violence, some of them are pacifist, and some of them are just the same old faces, just relabeling themselves Thaura. So that's where my skepticism is. Like, the Thaura is not one thing. They're competing against each other. They're not united. And there's no guarantee that if they enter parliament, they're not going to be just as corrupt as the parties that are already there. They're not going to be just as corrupt as the parties that are already there. There's no guarantee. There's a saying, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And we don't know how these people are going to react once they're in that position, because it's going to be the same system they're not overthrowing, even though they're calling themselves the overthrowers. I apologize for being heated, but there's an irony to this. And my other skepticism about the Thara is, what was it? Okay, so yeah, you're going against people who you say are corrupt, who you say cheat the people, who you say manipulate the people. You're going against them on their own terms. I don't trust the results of this upcoming election. I don't trust that some ballots won't be lost. I don't trust that thorough candidates won't be screwed over. I don't trust there won't be manipulation. I don't trust people are going to be coerced or bribed into giving their votes to the corrupt regime. I don't trust this. So for me, like, the thorough, in my opinion, I hope they succeed. For me, best case scenario, they have a bunch of seats. But my pessimism says to me that they're doing the wrong thing. Instead of like stop paying taxes, instead of like stop paying pro-government, like stop financing pro-government institutions, instead of doing marches every day, not just when they feel like it, every day, instead of like boycotting, instead of like spreading the word, supporting pro-Thara voices, they decided to run in the same corrupt system they disagree with. So yeah, there's that. And ultimately, I hope for the best of Lebanon that there are more Thawra MPs. I do hope Thawra MPs get elected. We need new faces. We need outspoken voices. I hope they get elected and then they don't be corrupted, because many people claim to be on the Thawra, and it's like, dude, they're just the same old regime. And I do hope the change comes. I don't think the change will come from elections. I think it will help. I don't think it comes from elections. I think it comes from the same tactics and methods used by Martin Luther King Jr., by Mahatma Gandhi, by Nelson Mandela. And I can't come up with other names off the top of my head, but we should be going with these guys. They didn't try to influence elections when they started. Later on, no comment. When they started, they didn't try to influence elections. They tried to influence heart and soul of the people, and they tried to weaken the corrupt regimes of their time. And yeah, that's how I feel on it. And I might do a podcast on that. The final question. I don't know how long this video took, but we're now on the final question. And I realized I have not drank coffee at all. Merch. The final question is, what topics are coming up? And these are video topics. And oh boy, do we have some topics coming up. I'm going to be topics I'm going to come up with is some upcoming titles are going to be blood is not thicker than water, why family needs maintenance and is not to be like taken for granted. I'm going to talk about how like I feel like just being related to someone is not enough for us to be close to each other, and that like even though we're blood, these kind of relations take maintenance. I'm also going to be talking about how I truly do not believe university is the only path of success, because that's a big mindset in the Middle East and other traditional countries. Even in North America, many people think you won't be successful when you don't have a university degree, and that's simply not true. I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about how we live to try things, and I'm going to be talking about how we should appreciate our exes no matter what. So these are personal upcoming things I'm going to talk about. Upcoming topics in terms of guests. I won't say their names because maybe they won't show up, but we're going to have a couple of influencers on. We're going to have a pilot on, and a cargo pilot, like a guy who flies planes. Obviously, we're going to have people involved in sports. We're going to have people living elsewhere, and we're going to have a well-known musician. I don't know when. I need to know his schedule, but he's been making a lot of headlines in Dubai. His popularity has only been increasing, and I've literally been seeing him randomly on the internet. He just pops up, and I think his music's amazing. So these are the upcoming things that are coming up. In terms of changes that are coming up, because we've hit a new subscriber level, and there is a learning curve. I'm going to be changing the name of the channel. It's not concrete, but it's just going to be the George Habib channel, and that'll help people like walking by or stumbling on this channel on YouTube to realize that I'm not just a person, I'm a channel. Sorry, it's going to be called the George Habib podcast. And this will help people realize I'm not just a person, I'm a channel, and maybe have them more likely to watch the videos. I'm going to simplify the categories. I want to make it my own views, discussion/interviews, and clips. Simplifies it for everybody, and because there's already a lot of overlap. And yeah, those changes are coming up. Guys, the questions are done. And I really enjoyed this. My voice is sore. My throat is sore from a lot of talking. But I really enjoy this. This is fun. Thank you for all these amazing questions, except yours, making your dumbass schlong question. Moron. Love you, bro. And I'm going to turn a lot of these questions into future episodes, shorts, and segments because I talked a lot more than I thought I would. And guys, I continuously appreciate the support you have given me. And I hope you guys continue to stay with me. And please, guys, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe down below. It really helps us get out there in terms of viewership. And please don't forget to like the video. It helps us with the algorithm. It helps us show up in more people's feeds. If you agree or disagree with some of the things I said, talk in the comments down below. Love to have that discourse with you. And thank you. Thank you for allowing me to reach 100 subscribers and a bit more. And the next milestone is 250. And I'm going to work hard to get there. And I'm going to work hard to improve the viewing experience for you guys. I really appreciate all of you. You guys make this happen. Have a great day. God bless you. And I consider the Q&A over. Cheers.